And today is Productivity Parity Day. It marks how much time has passed this year before the average worker shifts from so-called busy work to performing knowledge work. Okay, it's quite a concept. So to help break it down, we're joined by Janet Winkler, co-founder of the Difference Lab. Janet, good to talk to you about this morning. I think we all talk about productivity, GDP as a measure of the economy and things like that. But what is Productivity Parity Day? Where does this concept come from and how long has it been around?
Sure. So we coined the term, at the Difference Lab, we coined the term Productivity Parity Day because we started to see, and research supports it, that 60% of our time as knowledge workers is spent on busy work, right? The things that don't really drive productivity, and only 40% is spent on knowledge work, which is what we're paid for, what we're hired to do. And so
That's out of whack.
It's totally
60-40,
out of whack.
That's the wrong way, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's really shifted, right? Because of technology, because post-COVID, there were all sorts of behaviors that happened when we were working from home that have become habituated that we haven't dropped. Yeah. So when only 40% of our time is spent on real knowledge work, thinking time, then we really undermine productivity.
Absolutely. And I'm sure, so as employers are watching, they're thinking, wow, this isn't very good to think that my employees are only giving me 40% of what I really need. And as an employee, if you want to give your best, turns out you're kind of failing here. So let's talk about some of the distractions, things that are taking away from the productivity work or the busy. What about the busy work? Let's talk about the busy work then.
So the busy work has really exploded because things like technology, right? We have multiple communication streams. So if you're at work, it used to be maybe you got an email and a phone call. Yeah. Now you get an email, Teams, Slack, text if you didn't see the email, still a phone, still people dropping by. So there's technology, which has really sucked a lot of our time, but there's also over collaboration. We collaborate on everything now. And so you have people meeting in meetings just to collaborate, not necessarily for what's essential. And one-on-one meetings, we're up 500-fold from pre-COVID to post-COVID because we all had to check in. And it's become so much part of our day that it hasn't been subtracted.
Does any of this, Janet, have anything to do with the work from home that shifted so much in the pandemic as well? Did that change productivity?
It was a contributor, but certainly the perception that people who work from home aren't productive hasn't been true, hasn't been found to be true. But a lot of the behaviors that were established during COVID only accelerated the shift that it was already happening.
Yeah, okay. Let's talk about then some of the ways to undo some of this and sort of, put the balance back into more of the knowledge work instead of the busy work then. How do you do that?
Sure. So what we talk about is we're all experiencing what we call cram it all in syndrome, right? With so much to do, so much on our to-do list, we just shove more in because our behavior as humans is to add and add and add. Yeah. So what we do at the Difference Lab is we focus on a skill called intentional subtraction, which, having been in business for decades now, it's not something we've ever been trained on. Right? So we get together we work with teams, business teams, and we really transfer the skill of intentional subtraction. And it's hard because, as I said, we're not wired to do it as humans. And also, all of these behaviors have become so much part of the norm. We don't see them, we don't think about them, and we just continue to do them. So at the Difference Lab, we run a program with companies, primarily teams and people leaders, to go through.
You got to get those people leaders to buy into that too, though, right? Because, I think in some cases, employers probably enjoy might be the wrong word, but kind of value the fact that their employees are kind of either reachable or checking in or, overseeing things because the phone is right there and you can see things all throughout the day. Is that your toughest selling point, to get employers to do this initial subtraction or deliberate subtraction?
Because leaders understand that fierce prioritization, focusing on what really drives value, is what drives corporate success. Right? So that is absolutely proven. It's unassailable. The challenge is, so they can keep saying, fiercely prioritize, and people who are catching all of this extra, this work, this unproductive work, are saying, but how do I do that?
That was the question,
right,
yeah.
Right, so that's what we do. We take teams through to make visible a lot of these invisible habits that have become part of our daily routine. And then we focus on something we call onerous obstacles, which are the human parts of why we struggle to let go of things. So whether it's control or FOMO. I have to be in that meeting because what's going to happen if I'm not there?
Right, yeah.
Perfectionism, got to do it myself. A lot of these human behaviors that get in the way of subtraction. So we deal with those in the difference lab.
All right, addition, subtraction, and all those things that I don't do as someone who doesn't know math. But Janet, appreciate meeting you. Janet Winkler from the, what was it? The
Difference
Lab.
Lab.
Yeah, okay, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate this.
Thank you.